I started by painting the landscape, and then when I started to photograph, I photographed the landscape. Though I photographed my friends a lot, but the thing that I was really connected to was the land. My format's 7 by 17, so it's really close to the 70mm film. Like cinema, it draws you in. It draws you in a different way. For me, it extends the narrative, and I was very interested in narrative. And I wanted the viewer and myself to be sort of taken into a world. And because I was only making contact prints at the time, they're very finely drawn. So like Persian miniatures, you just want to keep going in further to see all the details. But the elongated format made it possible to have more of a narrative, like the idea of going down the Lee River rather than just looking at the river. It is a different experience. It has to do with time. And I think that that's one of the things that's really important in my photographs. It's a different way of reading and telling a story. I'm very interested in the idea of history, the idea of landscape as culture. I'm interested in not a kind of idealized world, but the idea that many layers of history have happened on the place that I'm standing. You know, when I take a picture of Tiananmen Square, there's the idea that they knocked down part of the wall that surrounded Beijing that was still existing, which is pretty remarkable, in order to build that square. And then all the rallies with Mao and all the celebratory events that followed that and up to the Olympics. In one picture, you can refer to many of those things. With the platinum prints, you have like this chiaroscuro that's very subtle. So you can go around the tree and you can feel the air. And there were a lot of fog pictures there. And they're very subtle, but once you start looking at it, you can feel the air. You know, all the information is there, but it's not placed all on the same plane. So for me, the platinum print feels like it has these different layers of the planes of the world. Atmosphere, time, and a sense of place, you know, start to draw a little bit more. It's just more subtle. The bayou in the fog with a boat there, you know, it's like a gift that's given to me. You know, the fishermen could have gotten there before me and it wouldn't have been there. But somehow it encapsulates, for me, the life on the bayou. Istanbul, I mean, you know, just the sound as it rolls off your lips conjures up a different place. The Bosphorus, that particular roof, you could see the boats going up and down the river. There's something very thrilling about that because you think about where they've been, where they're going, and, you know, the life that they're carrying with them. I started making the verticals probably when I first went to Guilin because it's in, you know, sort of vertiginous landscape. I then brought that back to New York and started making the verticals. I mean, this is also a vertiginous landscape. It would seem that it's easy, but it's actually much harder to make something work vertically from top to bottom because it seems like there's always too much sky. You have to be at a higher place and sort of, there's a lot more failures in the verticals than there are successes. But, you know, I keep pushing it. I really like that you can have that kind of layer of narrative that goes from top to bottom instead of side to side. The CCTV has a long construction history, and like most of the construction in Beijing and the rest of China, they took down a lot of old things in order to build the new. I mean, whole neighborhoods were razed. But that particular photograph, it was just the perfect confluence of posters being up and a little bit weathered, posters that showed the site as it was going to look when it was finished. Plus I have a bit of the building in there. And because of the light that I'm photographing in, it looks very much like a collage. Like, how can you be looking up into the building and straight across at it and down from above at the same time. But that's the gift that I was given. I feel like my picture always needs to be from the middle of the street so I can be in the middle of all that activity somehow. I like to be where that energy, feels really forceful, like, on the top of Tiananmen looking down with all the people in flux. But what I was really interested in, what I thought about before I went there, is the scale of the landscape to the human form. And I would say probably in almost every photograph of China, at least, there's a figure. And there are people that would pause and give me a little bit of their soul, of some size. Sometimes they're quite tiny, but they're there. And they could always see me. I'd think, oh, I'm in this giant landscape on my bicycle, got my camera there, but I'm covered up. Nobody can really see, I'm a foreigner. And then from afar, I'd hear, hello. I think that the chaos is always there. And this kind of feeling that there's so many things going on at the same time, it's always very much present. But how to picture it is really hard.